Check her phone after this video ends. I'm not saying you'll find something devastating, I'm telling you to prepare yourself when you do. But before you go looking, you need to know what the signs are, because the truth doesn't always show up as lipstick or late nights. Sometimes, it hides behind the most innocent gestures. There are 11 things women do that seem harmless. But if you know how to read them, they expose exactly how far she's already drifted away. So before we get into it, if you value RAF, unfiltered truth, most men never hear tap that like button. Subscribe if you're the kind of man who wants to lead with clarity, not confusion. And drop your city in the comments. Let's see how many of us are waking up to this truth around the world. Also, if you make it to sign number 9, I'll show you a behavior we do without even knowing we're doing it. It's so subtle. 99% of men miss it. But once it clicks, you'll never unsee it again. Now listen. This isn't about attacking women. It's about recognizing patterns, because cheating isn't a sudden act. It's a process. And if you're paying attention, that process leaves tracks. Little shifts. Tiny changes. Signals most men overlook until it's too late. Today, I'll teach you how to see them. Sign 1. The phone flip. At first glance, this might seem harmless, just a new habit. Right, maybe she wants to be more present, less distracted. Maybe she read something about mindfulness or digital detox. But don't be fooled by appearances, because this subtle shift can carry weight far beyond what it seems. Think back. There was a time when her phone was always out in the open, face up, notifications visible. She had nothing to hide. She might even have handed it to you to check a message while she cooked dinner. Can you see who just texted me? That kind of openness wasn't rare, it was normal. Now every time she puts her phone down, it's face down. Even when she steps into the bathroom, even while you're both sitting on the couch, watching a movie, even when it's just the two of you at home. And there's no reason for secrecy. Here's what's really happening. She's not just putting her phone face down. She's creating a barrier between you and whatever world she's starting to invest in emotionally. It's not the phone she's hiding. It's her reaction to who might be texting, the quick smile that slips through before she can stop it, the spike in her heart rate, the momentary distraction where you suddenly become invisible. That's what she's protecting. This tiny, seemingly innocent behavior is actually the psychological beginning of emotional separation. She's compartmentalizing. You're in one space, he is in another. And the phone, flipped downward, becomes the wall between those two worlds. Here's the part that stings. If you bring it up, if you say, "Hey, I noticed you always flip your phone over lately," she'll likely make you feel like you're the one with the problem. She'll say, "It's just a phone. Why are you overthinking? I'm trying to be more present with you now. You're making it a thing. You don't trust me over something that small." Sound familiar? That's not clarity. That's gaslighting. It's how guilt deflects attention. It's how manipulation turns awareness into self-doubt. Our Stoic man doesn't panic. He observes. He doesn't accuse out of emotion. He collects patterns, notices, changes, and when he sees them for what they are, he adjusts his stance accordingly. Because when a woman starts hiding her emotional reactions, she's already giving pieces of herself to someone else. Sign 2. Sudden self-improvement. You notice the change. She's suddenly going to the gym, buying new clothes, fixing her hair more often. You think it's a good sign she's focusing on herself. But what you don't realize is this: when a woman becomes deeply invested in her appearance out of nowhere, she usually has someone in mind, someone new, And if it were still you, you'd be part of it. She'd be asking for your opinion on that new dress, inviting you to work out with her, showing you her progress. But instead, you're left in the dark. The transformation is happening, just not for your eyes. The dead giveaway. She now gets ready behind closed doors. The bathroom door that once stayed open is suddenly locked. She puts on makeup just to run a quick errand, but doesn't tell you where she's going. Understand this, she's not just improving herself. She's redirecting her value away from you and toward someone else. A Stoic man sees the shift. He doesn't beg for attention. He doesn't interrupt the performance. He watches, and when the truth reveals itself, he makes a decision not out of pain, but out of principle. Sign 3, the emotional wall. This one slips past most men, because it doesn't look like betrayal. It looks like strength, like independence, like she's simply handling her own emotions better. But it's not growth. It's distance. Remember, when she used to open up to you, she'd vent about her boss, share her anxieties about the future, celebrate small wins with you like they were shared victories. You weren't just her partner, you were her emotional anchor. Now, she says, "I'm fine," and walks away. That might sound harmless, but it's not harmless. It's a shift in emotional gravity. She's not becoming self-sufficient. She's outsourcing her vulnerability. She's found someone else to lean on, someone new to text late at night when the world feels heavy, someone else who listens when she needs to feel seen. And here's what most men miss when a woman starts protecting that emotional bond with another man. She stops sharing relationship issues with him because she doesn't want to ruin the illusion. She won't vent about you to him, not because she's loyal, but because she's emotionally invested in keeping him as a clean slate. She's not detaching from emotions. She's rerouting them. Emotional intimacy, when directed at someone new, is often more dangerous than physical cheating, because the moment another man becomes her emotional safe space, you're no longer her partner, you're just part of her routine. The worst part, you don't even notice it right away. You still talk. She still smiles. But it's shallow. You get surface-level updates, small talk, filtered highlights of her life. Meanwhile, someone else knows her fears, knows her doute, knows her hopes, because he's the one carrying them now. A Stoic man doesn't chase emotion. He doesn't beg to be let back in. He watches the silence grow, and when he sees the truth that her heart has moved elsewhere, he doesn't fight for closeness. He respects the distance, because emotional disconnection doesn't need to be announced. It reveals itself in what she no longer says. Sign 4, schedule mysteries. You start noticing gaps. She used to tell you exactly where she was going, who she was with, and what time she'd be home. Dinner with Sarah, back by 8. Team meeting with Johnson's group until 7. Now it's just work stuff, or going out with some people from the office. It's not the lie that matters. It's the lack of clarity. She's no longer volunteering specifics. And if you ask, you're met with resistance. Why are you asking? Do you not trust me? Are you trying to control me? This isn't transparency. It's controlled ambiguity, just enough detail to seem harmless, not enough to be accountable. What she's doing is subtle. She's creating space where suspicion can't land. Because if you don't know exactly who or where, you can't prove anything. And here's the psychological twist. It's not about hiding everything. It's about hiding just enough to protect what matters to her. A Stoic man doesn't chase missing details. He observes the shift in behavior. He sees the fog for what it is, a quiet form of distance, and he lets the silence speak. Sign 5, The intimacy shift. Something changes in how she touches you, or doesn't. One moment, she becomes distant, pulling away from hugs. Dodging kisses, avoiding intimacy. The next, she's suddenly more sexual than ever. Almost aggressively so. This isn't affection. This is a cover-up. When a woman feels guilt, it leaks out in two opposite ways. She either avoids physical touch altogether because it feels like a betrayal to someone else, or she overcompensates, trying to convince herself and you that everything is fine. But both reactions come from the same emotional root, guilt. And here's what most men miss. The touch might feel real, but the intention behind it isn't. A stoic man doesn't get pulled into surface pleasure or panicked withdrawal. He watches the pattern. He feels the emotional fracture beneath the skin, because real intimacy doesn't feel desperate, and it doesn't disappear overnight either. It fades. When something deeper is being hidden. Sign 6. The new vocabulary. Pay close attention to how she speaks. Not just what she says, but how she says it. Suddenly, she's using expressions you've never heard from her before, quoting movie lines from films you never watched together, dropping slang that doesn't sound like her usual rhythm, or cracking jokes that feel like they belong to someone else's sense of humor. This isn't random. It's the subconscious doing what it always does when emotional intimacy forms. It's called linguistic mirroring. When two people spend time together, especially when there's an emotional bond, they start to unconsciously absorb each other's speech patterns. It's not forced. It's not fake. It's a deeply human behavior. We mirror the people we emotionally connect with. Their favorite words become ours. Their inside jokes start slipping into our sentences. Their tone, their metaphors, their phrases all begin to color how we speak. If he says that's wild instead of that's crazy, and you suddenly hear her say, that's wild, don't ignore it. It's not just a change in language. It's a change in influence. Now here's where it gets tricky. If you confront her about it, she'll brush it off. She'll say, oh, I think I heard that at work. Or, it's just from TikTok. Or I don't even know where I picked it up. But the truth she knows. Deep down, she remembers exactly who she picked it up from, but admitting that would mean admitting that someone else has become part of her inner world, and she's not ready to do that yet. Language is a subtle but powerful clue. It tells you who's shaping her thoughts, who's in her orbit, who's influencing her more than you are. So listen closely. When she starts sounding like someone else, it's because someone else has become important. Not every change in speech is a red flag, but a pattern of unfamiliar words, phrases, or tone that don't fit your shared reality. That's not just language shifting, that's loyalty shifting. Sign 7. Defensive mode. You start with a simple question. How was your day? And suddenly, it's an interrogation. You say, you seem different lately. And now you're the villain. You're always criticizing me. You never trust me. It's not the question that changed. It's her. She's reacting from a place of guilt, not logic. When someone is hiding something, especially emotional or physical betrayal, even the most innocent inquiry feels like a threat. Because in her mind, you're not just asking, you're investigating. And that's terrifying when there's something to uncover. What's happening here is called projection, a psychological defense mechanism. She's feeling deceptiva. So she projects suspicion onto you. She's living a double life. So she assumes you're watching her closely. She's carrying guilt. So she sees danger in your calm curiosity, and it shows. Suddenly, she snaps over small things. You ask what she had for lunch, she rolls her eyes. You mention her late hours, she says you're controlling. But these aren't random outbursts. They're distractions. A way to redirect the spotlight away from her own conscience. Here's where it turns manipulative. She doesn't just deflect, she flips the script. You're not observant. You're paranoid. You're not concerned. You're needy. You're not attentive. You're invasive. Over time, this reversal wears you down. You start questioning yourself. Am I too sensitive? Am I being unfair? That's the tactic. Make you second-guess your own truth. While she continues to bury hers, this isn't about demonizing her. It's about recognizing behavioral patterns that point to a deeper emotional conflict. Because love doesn't feel like walking on eggshells. It doesn't turn every question into a courtroom scene. It doesn't punish curiosity with accusations. So if you're calm, honest questions are met with rage, blame, or emotional shutdown. Ask yourself, is this about what I said, or about what she's hiding? Sign 8, the friend circle shift. Suddenly, she's mentioning new people, co-workers, gym friends, someone from that new painting class, but somehow you've never met any of them. Not once are you invited to hang out, to meet them for drinks, or join them at a group event. This might seem innocent at first. After all, people make new friends all the time. But in a committed relationship, social circles tend to overlap. You've likely met her core group. She's met yours. You've attended parties together, exchanged greetings in group chats, and shared weekend plans. That's how healthy relationships function through integration. But now, there's an entirely new social world forming, one where your name isn't even whispered. She has inside jokes with people you've never met. She references stories that you weren't there for. She goes places and does things with people she calls friends, but you're kept on the outside. Why? Because this isn't just about friendship. It's about hiding. We create separate social ecosystems when we need space to rewrite who we are. If she's emotionally checked out or starting to rewrite her narrative, she needs people who see her as available, independent, or worse, mistreated. She needs people who don't know your side of the story. People who think she's single or misunderstood. And she can't let you into that space. Because you'll see the cracks. You'll hear the way she describes you when you're not around. You'll feel the shift in how she presents herself to others, like she's someone else entirely. And worst of all, you'll catch the performance. That's why your presence is excluded. That's why every time you ask to meet these new people, she changes the subject. Get defensive. Or says you wouldn't be interested. But here's the real question. If these friends are truly innocent additions to her life, why are you the only part of her life not invited? Why is this the first time you've been completely shut out of a new social circle? And why does she flinch when you show interest? Language can lie, but patterns don't. And when someone starts building a new tribe without you in it, you're not just being left out, you're being replaced. Sign 9, the subconscious slip. This one is easy to miss because even she doesn't realize she's doing it. But once you catch it, you won't unsee it. It starts with a tiny shift in the way she talks about the future. Words that once included, you now leave you out without warning. It's no longer when we go on that trip. Now it's, I've been thinking of traveling. She used to say, we should start saving for the house. Now, it's, I want my own place. This isn't her being cruel. This isn't even her being conscious of what she's saying. It's her subconscious revealing something her heart knows, but her mouth hasn't fully admitted. The move from we to I is quiet but profound. It means her mind is preparing for life without you, even if her body is still beside you in bed. Psychologists call this linguistic separation, a phenomenon where the words we use begin to reflect the emotional distance we feel. It's not something we plan. It's something that leaks out from the soul, and I've seen it in myself. Before I even accepted a relationship was ending, I caught myself saying things like, "I need to focus on my goals," instead of, "We need to figure out our next step." And it hit me. I had already left in my mind, long before I walked out the door. Her future plans stop, including you. She speaks of dreams, decisions, and directions that revolve solely around her. Vacations, finances, living situations. It all becomes solo-focused. And here's what hurts. By the time you notice the pattern, she's already emotionally halfway out the door. You might still be holding her hand, but her vision of the future no longer has a space carved out for you. And when you point it out, she'll brush it off. "Oh, I didn't mean it like that." Or, "You're overthinking things." But deep down, you'll feel it. That cold drift in her words. So pay attention to the pronouns. Listen when she talks about next year, or the move, or her goals. If she's stopped saying we, it's because you're no longer part of where she's heading. That subconscious slip isn't just a grammatical change. It's a window into a mind preparing for separation. And when that shows up, you must choose whether you want to fight for a place in her future or walk away with your dignity intact. Sign 10. The future fade. This one connects directly to the last. Once the subconscious shift from we to I begins, the next thing to fade is the future. She used to light up when talking about upcoming plans, weekend getaways, birthdays, even what to cook next Friday. But now silence, shrugs, a vague "we'll see." You ask what she wants to do this weekend, and she says, "I don't know." Whatever. There are no more vacation ideas, no more house tours, no excitement about anniversaries, because she's already building a tomorrow without you. Not always consciously, but emotionally, she's withdrawing her investment from the life you were building together. It feels wrong to keep making promises she no longer feels certain she can keep. So she stops. Not just with you, but with herself. Because planning a future requires belief in that future. It needs hope, connection, désir, and shared intention. When she starts emotionally drifting towards someone else, there's no energy left to dream with you. That's the heartbreaking truth. She's no longer planning the next chapter with you because she's quietly starting the first page of another one alone or with someone else. And here's what makes this dangerous. Most men don't notice it early. They chalk it up to stress, work, or being tired. But what they're really feeling is the absence of emotional investment, because when a woman believes the relationship still has life, she makes plans, even small ones. But when her heart begins to let go, the calendar starts to empty. The dates disappear. The dreams dissolve. It's not just about skipping plans, it's about losing belief in us. So listen closely to her tone. Pay attention to the spaces where plans used to be. And if you find yourself doing all the planning, all the dreaming, all the reaching, that's not partnership anymore. That's survival. That's you dragging a future she's no longer holding on to. Sign 11. Guilt gifts. Sometimes love doesn't vanish quietly. It overcompensates. She suddenly becomes unusually thoughtful, cooking your favorite meals, surprising you with random gifts, wearing the perfume you once said you liked, saying yes to things she used to push back on. She becomes the perfect girlfriend overnight. And for a moment, you wonder, is she falling for me all over again? But here's what's really happening. This isn't renewed love. It's emotional debt repayment. Behind every unexpected act of kindness is a quiet storm of guilt, a conscience trying to cleanse itself by performing acts of devotion. When someone's hiding something, like emotional or physical infidelity, they often try to balance the scales by being extra loving on the surface, not because they're more in love, but because they're more conflicted. She's not buying you gifts because she misses you. She's buying them to feel less dirty about missing someone else. She's not more affectionate because she's drawn closer. She's acting affectionate to drown the guilt of drifting further. This is called psychological compensation. We try to redeem ourselves, not by confessing, but by overgiving. The irony, the more elaborate the gestures, the more detached the energy feels. You'll sense it. The hugs feel mechanical. The compliments feel scripted. The kindness feels like a role being played. And here's the catch, it's so well performed. You start to doubt your own intuition. You think, maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe she's just trying to be better. But your gut never lies. When love is real, it flows. When guilt is present, it performs. There's a difference between genuine affection and strategic affection. The first feels warm. The second feels staged. Watch closely. Is she expressing love because she feels it, or because she's trying to hide what she no longer feels when guilt replaces love? You don't get connection, you get a cover-up. Sign 12. The energy drain. This is the final sign, and perhaps the most heartbreaking one. She's not just tired from life. She's tired of being present with you. It's not the kind of exhaustion that comes from a long day. It's the kind that comes from emotional emptiness, from sitting next to someone while your mind is somewhere else entirely. You try to talk to her, and there's a pause, a delay, as if she has to drag herself back from another world just to respond. The intimacy feels strained. Conversation lacks spark. Silence grows heavier. And when you're busy or away, she seems relieved. She finds ways to avoid overlap, different routines, separate spaces, solo activities. The time you once shared now feels like an inconvenience she's trying to minimize. Why? Because juggling two emotional realities drains a person to the core. When a woman is investing her heart elsewhere, whether with someone new or just in fantasy, she has little left to give you. She's already spent it. The smiles, the warmth, the genuine connection there being poured into another emotional world. You're receiving the leftover version, tired, disconnected, numb. You might notice it in her eyes. She looks at you, but she's not really seeing you. She listens, but her mind drifts, and when she does something kind, it feels mechanical, like she's crossing off a to-do list, not expressing love. This is the truth no one wants to face when her energy no longer flows toward you. It's flowing somewhere else. And the version of her you once knew, the playful, attentive, fully present woman, is still alive. Just not with you. That version has moved. Emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and when spending time with you starts to feel like an obligation rather than a desire. That's not something you can fix with flowers or effort, because it's not about what you do. It's about where she chooses to place her energy, and if it's no longer with you, you'll feel it in every silent moment, every distracted glance, every time she seems more alive anywhere but here. I know this truth is hard to face, and maybe you're hearing these signs and quietly realizing this might be your reality. But this isn't a call to paranoia. This is a call to clarity. Not to control her, but to trust yourself. Because here's what most people won't say. A woman who genuinely loves you doesn't just avoid betrayal, she avoids even the appearance of it. She protects the relationship emotionally, mentally, spiritually. If she's doing these things, her heart has already left the room. Even if her body hasn't followed yet. You deserve more than silent doubts and second-guessing. You deserve someone who chooses you fully. Not someone rehearsing her next relationship while pretending to stay in this one. So don't gaslight yourself. Don't excuse what clearly feels wrong. Don't ignore the change you've already felt in your gut. And above all, don't wait for closure from someone who's already closed the door. What you need now is the courage to walk through your own. If this message spoke to you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell not just for content, but for strength, truth, and self-respect.